really, really hard, and they execute your system, and that's what it's all about.
Yes, sir.
Trust.
He's pretty
Big trust, baby.
Hey, yes, sir. Right on cue. Hey, right on cue. Hey, let me.
We are back on the Jumbo Set podcast. It is Tuesday, September 9th, 8:39 p.m. My name is Jake Louque. We are brought to you, as always, by Jimmy's Famous Seafood, and I'm joined by Gentle Spend Crankshaw as we exit week one. We enter week two, and we are here to break down all the action that we got on Sunday night and look ahead a little bit, talk some gambling, all the good stuff that you've come to expect from this program. But before we get into it, how are you doing tonight, pal?
I'm good. I feel good. Ravens loss was what it was. We'll talk about it for a while. I personally feel good. Weather is fantastic. We're still in summer. Don't forget that yet. We're still in the beautiful, beautiful days of summer. So that's been lovely. Week one was an interesting one around the NFL. Monday Night Football was insane. JJ McCarthy goes from a bust to Steve Young in maybe like 25 real minutes. That was awesome.
That tells me so much about week one. I often and this isn't anything novel by me, but I often look at week one as a bit of fool's gold, and like watching people in real time flip from JJ McCarthy is the worst quarterback I've ever seen to this guy might win a Super Bowl sometime soon. That kind of really reinforced that for me. And listen, I'm as guilty of it as anyone. I was kind of like thinking, you know what, like JJ McCarthy, I really didn't love him in the draft. This is confirming my priors. I'm a genius. And then, he flips it around. But just an observation there on that. Maybe the fickleness of some of the week one takes, which I'm sure we'll get into. But continue. I
mean, the Bengals were the best team, like arguably the top team in the NFL over like the final stretch of the season down the line there. I've had some up and down things last year. Like they were awful. First couple, it's just every year. Yep, certainly. I'll always think of Gardner Minshew and the Jaguars. I've said it a couple times in the last couple episodes, but 2021, Gardner Minshew and the Jaguars, whatever it was, 2020, 2021, go 1-15. The one game they won was week one against the Indianapolis Colts, who finished 11-5. Anything can happen, especially in those divisional games. We saw Bucks, Falcons. We saw a few of the 49ers and the Seahawks had a crazy ending. Vikings, Bears, which we just mentioned. So those ones are tough. And wild week one, I would say, in many ways. I think one of the most interesting walkaways from week one, the average starting field position of offenses is going to be like, I don't know, man, 8 yards better than usual. Like an incredibly significant difference when you think about it. How many teams were starting out drives so far down the field with a kickoff, touchbacks resulting in teams starting at the 35 now. So I think that is all interesting stuff. I don't love that aspect, but I love the kick returns being returned. I love that there is now, I'll think of that viral TikTok of a British guy watching American gridiron football for the first time. And he said, kickoff, why even run the play? Just give the team the ball at the 25 or 30 yard line. So I like that is a play again. That was an awesome takeaway from week one. But to your point, Jake, a lot of a fool's gold there. There was the Patriots. Vrabel, Eric tells us all the time, Vrabel never wins week one. Good coach, never wins week one. So a lot that happened. Not a lot of like wide receiver ones. Also, if you want to talk fantasy football, I think only 4 of the top 10 ADP on Underdog had 10 or more points. Like Jamar Chase did very little. Justin Jefferson pretty quiet until scores a touchdown late there. He had a couple drops. So preseason, one less game. There's less practice time every year. So they're just going to shovel, meaning the New York League office is going to shovel slop in our faces early in the season a little more. Pass games didn't look good, but the Bills and Ravens pass games looked great. And I love the tweet that was like, this is football 2. Like we are not watching what we watched earlier in the day. This is football 2.0.
A lot of people that are like fans of different teams, and particularly Bears and Vikings fans. I saw something on the variation of this literally feels like a different sport than what we watched last night. And like, they're not the only ones that I think feel that way.
Certainly. So all of that to say that It was a tough one for the Ravens. Again, like we do those instant reaction live shows, and I don't know, we get the most viewers on those. So we like doing those. Like that's why that's exciting for us. We get the best numbers, but I think we also have the dumbest takes as well. So it's nice to be able to sit down, go back through, calm down a little bit after those and come back.
You gotta get it out in the moment too. You gotta let the poison out. Like you have to. It's therapeutic too, which is I think part of the reason why it does well numbers wise, because people want somebody to vent to and listen to vent. It's therapeutic for everyone.
I agree. So comments that have been made so far this week, a lot of people on John Harbaugh's ass about Kyle Hamilton. He said that Kyle Hamilton's lateral was the most foolish thing he's ever seen and questioned if he actually graduated from Notre Dame. And the Twitter sphere didn't like that one. The Everything app was not a fan of that in the Baltimore section. And I found that one particularly funny just because I think that's like how Kyle Hamilton likes to interact with other people, by like talking shit from everything I've ever seen from him and Marlon or Roquan or their little Wawa commercials, whatever. So I think he was poking a little fun, but it also takes me back to Brian Billick. Like if your coach is telling you to pitch the ball back into the end zone across the field, you've got the wrong football coach. I always just think of Brian Billick. Get down, Ed. No, Ed. No, Ed.
No.
Go, Ed. Go, Ed. Go, Ed. So if your coach is not telling you to not lateral the football, I've got nothing for you there. So catching a lot of shit for that one. Harbaugh does his press availability, and everyone's just I understand why people are so frustrated with him. I understand why people are so frustrated in general. Again, the shitty part of the loss was that was the team that bounced them in Buffalo, and the next game they played was a disappointing blown lead in Buffalo. Simply that is enough to drive a grown man crazy. And
2 years in a row, the same thing has happened. You get bounced by the better team that advances, and then you have to go into their house in week 1 and lose a heartbreaker. Like it's annoying, and it's annoying scheduling. And I get the NFL wants to get their best matchup, and guess what? They got exactly what they wanted out of this one. But it is frustrating that that's 2 years in a row the Ravens have been put in a tough spot and lost a game that I don't think is all that shocking. But of course, they do it in the most dramatic high wire act fashion possible.
They do. And going back through the tape, they played prevent defense. There's this big tweet. Oh, they played cover 6. They really did run. He said we ran a little bit of everything. And I think there was 2 prevailing sentiments in the Ravens game plan that they stuck to. One of them was bullheaded. I think just thick-skulled a little bit, where it got them into clock management issues, which was, I think they just wanted to run up to the line and snap the ball and be really in sync as an offense and prepared at the snap and shoot. And I think that's why Harbaugh's explanation, why did they get the ball off before the 2-minute warning in the first half? They got a look they liked. And I don't like that. I think the other sentiment that they had game plan wise was we're going to contain Josh Allen. And then they started to come back. So then they got after him a little bit. They ran cover on the James Cook 50-yard little slip. They ran cover 0. There was no help. They blitzed, all out blitz. And I that's where I think back to Mike Macdonald. That's not what Mike Macdonald would have done. And I think he would have simmed pressure a little bit more. I think he would have brought Kyle Hamilton a little bit more. But to me, it felt like the Ravens didn't disguise coverage really at all as much as they did last year. And then I had the stupid realization that, Chidobe Awuzie, who I thought played well, Jair Alexander, who I thought couldn't have possibly played worse, Malachi Starks, that's 3 new dudes playing game 1 in their secondary. And it's on the road. You don't have the benefit of noise and the offense struggling to communicate, things like that. So I think they did not disguise coverage very much, which I don't think they cared that much. They put a lid on Josh Allen. He had 2 great seam balls to the tight ends, both basically touchdowns. The one gets pawed down at the 1. Nate Wiggins makes a great play on the tight end, punches the ball out twice from behind, right through the breadbasket, ends up making a triple grab catch, which is just one of the many dipsy doodle things that the Bills were able to do that broke your heart. So I think they just really wanted to keep Josh Allen in the pocket, and they didn't want anything over their head. Last year, they definitely had PTSD from blown coverages, and I think they thought they were smarter than they were early and blew all those coverages. So I think they were like, hey, we got a rookie safety. The most advanced thing they were doing, especially in the fourth quarter, was really just going from a split safety pre-snap look, and then one of the two would run back into the post, and they would drop down the middle of the field, close coverage, like cover 3, stuff like that. They played man. On the last drive, they played man. And they played man twice. Jair Alexander gets beat by Josh Palmer, ripped to shreds, and then they run another cover 0, and then he makes a shoestring tackle. So the biggest takeaway for me overall is Josh Allen's really good at football. He's a really good, smart quarterback, and there's a couple quarterbacks that you should never punt the ball to at the end of the fourth quarter. Now, there was some nuance of Lamar was cramping, and Lamar himself said, if I wanted to go for it, we would have gone for it, right? We know that's the case. He's the one who has a $250 million contract. John Harbaugh's $30 million. So this is very much Lamar Jackson's team, but I do still fault Harbaugh in that instance of, hey, maybe Lamar's fucked up. Maybe take a timeout and calm it down there. However, we were texting about this, Jake. The Ravens, like 2 and 3 years ago, kept getting to the end of games and not having enough timeouts. So there's just this carousel of end of game situations. No two are alike. Like, they have little things that are the same, but also idiosyncrasies. So, like, in hindsight, I would have loved for him to call a timeout there. Maybe what they referred to, like, oh, we didn't know what play to get. And maybe they would have loved to, like, put Lamar Jackson out wide and have him do a little in motion and then just run wildcat with Derrick Henry and he runs the ball, or bring in Cooper. I don't know. But at the end of the day, the same notion is Lamar Jackson is a $250 million quarterback, about to be more than that is what it sounds like. They're going to get an extension done probably in the offseason. But you got to live and die with your $250 million quarterback instead of giving the other $250 million quarterback the football. And to even
particularly in the context of how both offenses and both defenses had played all night. It was just the offense of either team was going to have to go win that game. It was a track meet, and at the end of the day, you played a little scared. I think I said it on the recap show. It just felt like you played scared there. A little bit with the play calling. We mentioned the Zay Flowers on that second down. It was actually an option when they did the sweep to him. Lamar opted to hand him the ball. It got swept up, and then that third down, he literally runs over to Nuke Hopkins, whispers something in his ear, and then it just winds up being a very vanilla kind of slant, to the inside. You complete that pass and you get a 4th down and 3. But then, yeah, you're right, man. It's like overall, like, I get some of the sequencing felt kind of weird before that, but I think overall it feels like they've certainly lost a little bit of the aggression, and then losing that fumble with Henry, it just felt like they got completely spooked after that, and they blinked. And I don't know. It reminds me, I think back, and in particular, I've been thinking back since all of this to the one time they've beaten Patrick Mahomes, and that was in Baltimore in 2021. And it's going for it all night on 4th down. It's going for 2 all night on 4th down. They converted 3 or 4 2-point conversions in that game. Just crazy, crazy shit they had to do. And they shot themselves in the foot a couple of times with, I think, a pick in the end zone and a pick 6. And just one of the craziest games you'll ever see. And then you get to the end of it and you get I think a 4th down and 2 or a 4th down and a long 1. And they go for it. And they just run quarterback power and no problem. You pick it up, and that's at the time, one of the biggest wins of that era. I think it still stands to the test of time as one of the biggest wins of that era, not just because of beating Mahomes, but because you did it like swinging your sword all the way down, as Mike Leach used to say. And this just kind of felt like the antithesis of that. This felt like the coaching staff in particular felt like, well, we scored 40 points, like that just has to be enough. It has to be enough. They just get mentally exhausted, mentally drained, and they just decide to punt it away. And I don't know. I'm still scratching my head at it, but I hope, and I don't know, if people still aren't over this one, I get it. I'm not fully all the way over it either, but I think this could be a good teaching moment for you. If you get in this spot again, not just against Josh Allen, but against a Mahomes, against a Joe Burrow, let's say, or maybe even like a Justin Herbert, don't give the ball to alien quarterbacks in that situation. Just do not do it, because I'm sure teams feel the same way about Lamar, and that's just games are won. Especially these high leverage games, I feel like are won on offense these days.
They certainly are. And again, you've got the alien back. And Josh Allen was great, but I do genuinely just, you've got the best quarterback. Like, you have the number 1 best quarterback. You have maybe not the playoff success to show for it, but to me, like, you've got the lethal weapon. You've got the Tom Brady. You've got the Winter Soldier. So Well, I guess Josh Allen's literally, they call him that, but you have one of those. So arguably V1. He was banged up. It is what it is. It sucks. Going back through just there's some questions here, I suppose. Let's see. One was anybody that you think should play less. Curtis Green said, any player that comes to mind that needs to be benched or play less, offense or defense, too soon. I was pretty astounded, and I don't know that he needs to play less, but I don't love Travis Jones having to play 63 snaps at 330 pounds. I thought he handled himself well. Didn't love that. I'm concerned about the depth there. Would really love to see the Ravens in the coming months go get another interior guy. Broderick Washington, I thought, looked consistently solid in this one. He comes to mind. The Ravens didn't have Ricard in this one, so the tight ends rendered basically for naught in this game. Charlie Kolar, I don't think, had a target. Mark Andrews, they got one early. Didn't really need to look his way necessarily, but at this point, likely is a more dynamic option. Andrews, we'll see. He started slow last year. We'll see how he rolls in. A lot of comments. Roger Rosengarten, and that's what we touched on in the preview, Jake, of the season. Was like, hey, maybe Roger Rosengarten is not as quick to start this year, or doesn't look as good as quickly. It's just still a young tackle. So I expect some of those lumps, but at the same time, Ed Oliver, there was a great breakdown, the Instagram account. Jake, I think you follow it too. I saw Film Junkies one or something like that.
Yeah.
If you know what I'm talking about, find the tag of that. It's such a good account. They're huge now, but they made a great call out. Basically the Ravens were running away. If Ed Oliver mostly was aligning at 3 tech. So the Ravens were basically, anytime they had a 50-50 run direction, Lamar was kind of checking or signaling run away from Ed Oliver.
It's film.watchers1 on IG.
Film.watchers1. Check that page out. It's huge. Awesome. Had a great breakdown on Ed Oliver. I wish I clipped some of it. We're still getting fired up here, so I'll have more clips in the future. But basically, Ed Oliver, the Bills figured out, and Ed Oliver figured out, hey, they're running away from Ed if he's the 3 tech. So number one, if he's the 3 tech, he should just book it in any of those pistol or any of those neutral distances across the face. And instead, they also started lining him up at the 1 tech instead, so that you couldn't really avoid him as much. And on that play, I mean, I want to knock Rosengarten for sure, but also I think it was an amazing play by Ed Oliver to shoot across the face. I think it was good recognition of what the Ravens were aiming to do. That was one of their pieces of game plan, run away from Ed Oliver. They were picking on the other guys, and Oliver recognized that. Henry runs away from him, shoots across the face, pries the ball out of Henry, which I still really can't believe Henry fumbled there. I might have said something similar on Sunday, but we talk about there's no change. The Ravens don't change. They've blown some leads, and they have had the second most fourth quarter leads. Harbaugh is the 4th worst percentage in that 1991 period. Kyle Shanahan's worse. Mike Vrabel's worse. There's a couple other guys that are right around there. Basically, when the Ravens have an 80% win probability or higher, according to NFL Fast R, they win almost exactly 80% of the time. So they are average at closing out, and they have a very high volume, second to only Andy Reid in that time period, who I think is 10% or 9.5% ultimately. So to back it back up, we say things are not changing. I think of the Bills where they blew a lead 20-3 in Baltimore, where Harbaugh didn't punt the ball, and then Marcus Peters flips out on him. So that, it's different teams, different context, sure. But one of the just craziest things to bring back again, simply to me, is, hey, we would love to take the pressure off of Lamar late in these games. Teams are teeing off. They had some offensive line injuries. So they signed Derrick Henry. They closed out against the Bills in Baltimore last year. They got a big lead. Bills tried to storm back a little bit. They shut the door. They shut the door on the Bengals. They shut the door on a few teams. The Steelers. They shut the door on the Steelers twice, who had been the monkey on their back for the entirety of the Harbaugh, Lamar, really just the Lamar tenure. And they shut the door. So they had done it. It just was very ironic to me that the guy they signed to close out the games, they hand him the football, he gets stripped, and then people are like, well, why'd you line up and go? If they did anything other than hand the ball to Derrick Henry, what are you saying the next day? why didn't you give the ball to Derrick Henry? So I just don't know. And Henry did fumble against the Ravens.
Steelers.
Against the Steelers, pardon me. I think that fumble was earlier in that game, very early in that game. I can't recall. But it's just that part of it is just like the sick and twisted part. Like you got the big back. Oliver makes a great play. And the big back that you brought in to close these games out. Lizard Wiz here says Henry has 2,373 career carries and has fumbled 21 times. I think he's lost 13 fumbles since joining the Alabama Crimson Tide in 2013. And that was one of the 13. So
I will say they're like super active on the ball. Like the Joey Bosa using his long ass arms to get the one on Justice Hill. And then you obviously with the Henry one, it just seems like
Hill has a fumbling problem. I think Zay Flowers has a fumbling problem. I mean, Henry, I think only coughed the ball up once. I think whatever. I don't think he has a fumbling problem per se, but it's just, what are you going to do, man? At this point, it's just like, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. So, so many encouraging things from this game as well, but just a lot of going back and looking at other games, other situations, end of game. And Jake, I know you're a big proponent, like get somebody who plays Madden for like money, like a professional Madden player, and stick them in the booth. Like I'm dead serious. Stick a Madden player in the booth. Freaking Ben Johnson last night. Stick a Madden player in the booth. That ball's not ending up in the end zone. You're going to be able to get your
warning. Cairo Santos, like if he doesn't have the leg to kick it through the end zone, any Madden player would tell you, okay, well then kick it out of bounds and put him on the 40. It's a 5-yard difference.
Kick it 2 yards and get a penalty.
Yeah.
You know, those things. A Madden player is toggling the stick out of bounds and kicking it out of bounds and giving the ball at the 50.
Yeah, I don't know if I said this on Twitter. I was talking about this today on Twitter. I don't know if I said it specifically, but I was talking to you guys in the group chat, and literally just like a common sense coordinator, just somebody that plays Madden, somebody that like understands the stuff situationally that can go, hey, you know what we should probably do? Like, hey, and I understood John's answer about like not wanting to run the play clock all the way down so pass rushers can't tee off and all of that. But maybe we should like not snap the ball with, 10 extra seconds on the clock and just allow them 10 extra seconds. Like I know that was taken in that screen grab, which might have actually just been a broadcast error anyway. But even on like the loop field goal, I think they could
have run down. I think they snapped the ball with like 7 seconds left actually on the play clock, the broadcast. So they could have run down another like 6 seconds.
Yeah, well, there's one play for you that the Bills are going to be able to run, one extra play for them on that last drive. And the loop field goal, as an example, I think they left 3 seconds there. That 3 seconds winds up being the difference in 3 points for them. It's just these very little marginal things that, like, we talk about these small margins, a lot of which does require a deft touch and a deft hand. But some of these things, it just feels like you're just leaving points on the table by just not understanding common sense or just allowing the moment to kind of overtake you because you're so focused on the schematics and you're so focused on all the other voices in your head and you're so focused on the current situation. It's like, and I know people were talking about, oh, well, they hired Jerry Rosberg to do this. And then very quietly, they just kind of eliminated that position and he was gone. Well, let's maybe revisit that idea because like, it is like, it's just annoying at this point. Everyone's talking about how it's just the same thing over and over again. In some cases, I think people are exaggerating maybe a little bit. I think the blown leads thing, if you read some stuff on Twitter from like Timo Riesk and like Ben Baldwin and some other people that talk about how it is a little bit of like an overblown concept with the Ravens. I get all that, but like some of this is just eliminated. Some of this narrative is eliminated. Like they probably win that Colts game with one of these people, 2 years ago. That maybe they beat the Dolphins 3 years ago.
They only lose at the end of games in questionable circumstances while they also turn the football over offensively.
Yeah.
Those are literally the only games they lose. We're going to bring my friend Jake on, except for when the Eagles kind of just kicked their ass last year. That is literally the only game I can recall where a team just was better and it was like, oh, the Eagles beat their ass.
You talk about it all the time. They never get blown out. They do not get blown out, except for like that game and kind of that Dolphins game in 2020.
And that is why I think that fans are maddened. Again, playing the Bills in Buffalo, back-to-back, end of the game, last play. Oh, then you freaking Nick Wright's doing freaking Mahomes Mountain and Lamar's not at the top and da-da-da. And it's the little teeny tiny ticks in your head when you're a fan of a team that's just start to drive you mad. And they didn't play the Browns week 1. They played the Bills in Buffalo week 1 and they lost. And it was maddening. It was maddening overall. So I understand frustration. I was frustrated as a fan, all of those things. But the offense was so incredibly dynamic. Lamar is so good. And the only shitty part about this game to me in any long-standing thing is that it just probably, like Vegas, it was a minor swing. I believe the Ravens went from plus 650 to win the Super Bowl to plus 750, and the Bills went up to, it flipped basically, because guess what? I mean, the Bills are probably going to finish with a higher seed than the Ravens with that head-to-head win. The Ravens will have to win. They'll have to go 13-3, at least, if not 14-2, to take that seed away from the Bills. So I think that is the one shitty part about it, because you haven't beaten the Bills in Buffalo since 2019, I believe, with the Lamar Jackson sleeves game. So that's the one lasting effect that really stinks. I don't know. Like, people are tired. People are tired. Harbaugh is the one that answers questions, and Harbaugh doesn't answer questions. He keeps everything internal. He says his own perspective that he wants to present to the rest of the world, and they keep everything internal. And I think the players like it. I think the fans don't like it, and they want, Mike McDaniel or something to come in and give them these like great idiosyncrasies into the mind of the football genius and all that kind of shit. And John's an old bird, man. He doesn't care anymore. And I think that's
our favorite A word. I've been seeing a lot of that this week. The A word.
Ravens blitz Josh Allen.
Accountability.
Ravens blitzed Josh Allen 11 times. He torched them, went 8 for 11. And I truly I think Josh Allen is the best quarterback at avoiding sacks in the history of the NFL. Like, plain and simple. He hasn't taken 3 sacks since Baltimore. In Baltimore, he has not taken 3 sacks in Buffalo since the Dolphins wildcard game, Skylar Thompson, where the Dolphins almost knocked them off in January of 2023. The dude is, give him one lane. He's bigger. He's stronger. He takes funky angles. He's like a gigantic, bigger, faster Tony Romo to me. Like, he moves awkwardly and is huge and fast. And it's just really impressive. And that's why I think the Ravens losing this game sucks. The Bills haven't lost a game in Buffalo since 2 years ago. Like, they didn't lose in Buffalo last year, and it continues on for a reason. So I think that's the crappy part. I think we saw the Ravens beat the crap out of the Bills, finish them off. Crowd noise was an issue. Bills got flustered. Josh Allen's face got all like pink and hot, and you can just tell he wasn't having fun. And I think he has fun in Buffalo, man. I don't really like the Bills fans, but they do have a special little thing up there that they all seem to really enjoy. And Josh Allen, obviously, at the forefront of that. So a lot of shit talking about the pass rush, I think, has come out of this game. I don't think they tried to rush him. Like, they really only tried to pin their ears back a couple times. And the few times they did, it was a mistake. And I think there's all these takes. We have Aiden here, a sexier Ben Roethlisberger. Yeah, he's like a faster Big Ben when Big Ben was young. And Big Ben was quick, but he was strong, and he just moved funky, and was a tough dude to bring down. So yeah, I think that's a good comp too. But
I never thought I would see somebody that I'd be like somewhat willing to compare to Cam Newton, and like that's Josh Allen to me.
He's better Cam Newton. Like, Cam Newton at his absolute pinnacle, maybe better for a small spurt of time, but it's like, take Cam Newton at his best when he was healthy and his shoulder wasn't messed up. And that's what we're seeing, like a 3-year run of Josh Allen on. He's really damn good. And they're tough to beat up there. So I think that is the part that really sucks. Brock P, his O-line is insane, also helps. I don't think they're insane. I think they're all right. I think they have good tackles. I think their interior offensive line you can get. But when you fuck up rush lanes, like, they have a similar benefit to what it is with Lamar. If you're even, he's leaving. Like, if you aren't touching him and are next to him, you can't catch him. And he moves funky, and he has the benefit of like being able to manipulate you. So it's tough. But this defense, to me, wanted to keep him contained, didn't want to let up deep balls, didn't want to blow coverage by disguising too much. And so he picked them apart. And I think that is what their demise was, aside from a couple fluky things. But if you play Mahomes or Allen or Burrow, and you just kind of play the normal coverages and roll low to high here and there, they're going to fuck you up, man. They are going to tear your ass up. You can't play them like that, especially in their house, because they can hear and communicate and get to the line, and they feel good. They are going to tear you up. And they once the Bills stopped running the ball, which they didn't do at all successfully at any point in this game, the Ravens didn't try to mess with him enough, I think, was their big mistake. They ended up letting up the explosive play to Cook. They ended up letting up explosive plays anyway. So the fear that they had was essentially realized anyway. So I think that would be the takeaway. Like, if you got to go there again, you got a lot of time before you have to go there again. It's going to be, 18, 19 games from now, 17, 18 games from now. You got to fuck with him more. He was just getting the ball out, then would extend. He's not flustered, can see it all. I get why they didn't want to do that. I don't think that game plan's ever going to work against him in Buffalo.
No, I agree. And it's just, again, it's aggression just all night long. You've just got to be ready to go for it. Like in every single situation, you have to win the game on your own front foot. You have to draw your sword and go win the fucking duel. Because like, it's not gonna, you can't sit back on your heels and expect him to just hand the game to you. He's not going to do it. He's too good. Same can be said for Lamar Jackson.
I agree. And overall, just, I think stunting more. Like Aeneas Peebles, your boy Fub Jake came in. He's a little rocket ship. I think Ravens fans are going to start to love him fast.
Broadcast. I was like, is that Fub out there? Like, I was like, damn, he's already like kind of working.
Was picking dudes off of stunts and was moving in peculiar ways and was quite a little rocket ship. So I don't think they stunted as much as they should have. I think they could have disguised coverage more, but I get the PTSD of last year trying to disguise coverage, and Burrow, you're fucking it up, and Burrow's just ripping to Jamar Chase, and Jamar Chase is ahead of steam. So with that, there is no Jamar Chase on the Bills, but James Cook embarrassed. Roquan Smith, I will say this, Roquan Smith is not, I think he's a A+ linebacker between the numbers, and the juice that we saw in 2023, the sideline to sideline speed, it's just not there.
That was maybe one of the worst efforts I've seen from him on that third down. I mean,
I haven't seen him get embarrassed like that in space really once. Like, he's tried to catch receivers from behind a little bit and like gotten aggressive, things like that. But Cook just, was faster and stronger and got him. So that was a little brutal. Drop all kinds of stuff. We could talk about this game forever, but we're ready to move on. It's Tuesday night. It's Wednesday if you're listening for most of you. So any other things, Jake, any floaters in your mind overall from this game moving forward?
Yeah, it really just comes back to the little things. We talked about the details, the common sense coordinator, common sense czar. Really need to rethink that, because it just feels like they're a little in over their heads. And for all the people that are like, well, it's the 18th year of this head coach, I get it too. But like, if that's what they need to do, that's what they need to do. And I'd prefer to see that happen. And yeah, the lasting thing for me will be punting it away to Josh Allen and effectively just surrendering the game right there. We all knew that's what was happening in the moment. Of course, that's what winds up happening. And they need to keep that in the back of their mind. They need to remember this feeling. They need to remember what gave them this feeling, and that was punting to him. No amount of going out and whipping up on the Browns and maybe beating a Lions team that you hope isn't going to be at full strength compared to where they've been the last couple of years. And, beating CJ Stroud at home, like no amount of any like regular season run that you can go up on where you beat up on some relatively weaker opponents should make you forget what happened in that game on Sunday night and what is going to need to be done if you want to win there, if you have to go back, or if you have to play them in your house, frankly, because I feel like the Bills, their defense really, as we saw, is not built to stop a team like the Ravens, but their offense is built to crush the Ravens defense, as we saw. So you just got to remember what led you to this point. I think this was a good litmus test in that regard. And yeah, if it does come down to that again, I think you got to remember what you have to do. You can't convince yourself that, oh, we're the most talented team, this, that, and the other, because at the end of the day, this is more of a quarterback driven league than ever. And we saw what Josh Allen is capable of. He can rip your heart out by a million cuts, and you just can't give him that opportunity again.
I think the Ravens offense is absolutely disgusting. I think they are the best group in the NFL. And I still feel great about the Ravens' chances to go win a Super Bowl. The part of maybe having to go back to Buffalo, not quite as ideal as if you could get them to come here and you won this game. But again, a lot of football between now and then. Health is wealth. We'll see. Guys get hurt. Big Greg Kittle already on the IR. I've seen some groans about that. With that, wanted to switch up the talk a little bit, have a special guest. We got a fun little segment here that we wanted to get into. So we're going to do a little gambling talk here with something that we're going to call Spenny and the Bets. I'm going to have some friends on.
Great intro.
My buddy Jeff Greenspan made that. All my Jersey boys out there. This is my good friend Jake Bowe, longtime degenerate, longtime, I'd say just a true gambling, fun person to hang out with, and wanted to bring you on, Jake. Really excited. One quick note here. Shout out to everybody who joined the Best of Baltimore Eliminator, Exit 52 and Morning Mugs. 259 people joined that. We're going to do a weekly update throughout this segment. Jake shaking his head. One of the people that host this podcast was eliminated, and it certainly wasn't me. Craziest pick I've ever seen.
No free coffee for me, and not the craziest pick, because if you do, I've never done a survivor in NFL. If you do it in golf, you pick the mid-tier guys and you save the big hitters. So that's what I was trying to do. I picked the bum-ass Patriots and bum-ass Drake May and bum-ass Week 1 Mike Vrabel, and the Raiders and Uncle Pete and Gino. They handed me my ass. So I'm out in the survivor pool. Thank you for pointing that out.
Of course. So thank you to everyone who joined. 215 entries remaining. The Cardinals were a big pick last week. The Broncos, Eagles, Bengals, Commanders were the big pick. So 215 remaining. We're going to be talking a lot more on Thursday about Morning Mugs. But Jake, pleasure to have you on, my friend. Do you remember like the first big bet you won? Like what comes to mind of your like earliest, just like first bet, something you remember, like somebody winning something? What comes to mind?
It's a great question. What's up, guys? Thanks for having me. How's my mic? Is it all right?
Yeah, you're good.
All right, sweet. First big bet. I remember in 2019, I won Nationals World Series. I had it like, I want to say they were like 45-1 at a point, and I put like $25 on it. And in 2019, that was a lot of money for me. So that was awesome. I've also been gambling since I was like 8 years old. Gambling on my grandparents lived up on Cape Cod, and they were big Red Sox fans. And I remember I have letters like to and from my grandparents of gambling like $1 here and there on games. So not an expert by any means, but as Charles Barkley says, I love to drink and I love to gamble. So that's kind of how I go about an NFL Sunday.
Bo, you had quite the weekend. Usually we have a little group text with some buddies from college. I won't say the name of it, but we have some fun. I tail a lot of your picks. Tell the people the one that you didn't share in the group text until it had already kicked off, and what happened with that one, and what led you to those conclusions that you made.
Yeah, so it was the biggest bet I've ever won in my life. It was 440-1 odds. So it was Daniel Jones 2 touchdowns and Justin Fields 2 touchdowns. We talked a lot this offseason, you and I, about Daniel Jones. I'm not a fan of his. I think he's a great running quarterback. I watch him at Duke. I love betting on college football as well. I'm also an Eagles fan, so it's like watching him for that many years in New York. It's like, I know you remember that classic clip of him stumbling and falling over at like the 5-yard line when he had like a 70-yard like run, and it was him in the end zone, and he, the sniper got him. He's a really good runner. And did I think that there were going to be 2 goal lines?
He tripped on.
Oh boy! I guess you keep rolling there. Well, I think he got a little excited.
Yeah, right. So I didn't think that there were going to be like 2 1-yard carries. QB sneaks. It's funny that that happened that way. Can I get a Ravens take off here or there? You guys,
yeah. Of course.
So hilarious that the Bills still can't do the tush push, right? You guys will be fine. I know it's like I listened to your podcast from Sunday night, like after, because I wanted to get a vibe for what I was coming into. And I, during that game, I'm thinking like Spencer asked me to come on, earlier in the week, even before this weekend when I had the best gambling weekend of my life, which whatever picks I give out here tonight or whatever we talk about tonight is guaranteed to go over just based off of that.
Of course.
But it's so Ravens are going to be completely fine. I think that the biggest thing is the Bills got so lucky on that Keon Coleman touchdown. Like tip ball in the end zone. They don't get that. The game's essentially over. What's there, 4 minutes left? I think it was like the 4-minute mark. It was like 4:05 or something like that when he scored that touchdown. It's like that's just like bad luck. And then Henry fumbles after that, right? It's like thing after thing. It was like the perfect scenario to go wrong.
That's what it took for the Bills to win.
Yeah, and the fact that the Ravens missed that extra point where the Bills, kicked that field goal. Now, granted, they're probably going to try and score a touchdown there, obviously, to win the game, go down the field there. But so Spencer, you said something that when I was listening in is like the Ravens offense is the best in the league. It's scary. It's so scary. I said that in the group text and that I was like, the Ravens offense is scary. I also will put the Eagles offense up against that. In the trenches last year, like they dominated the Ravens front. Now, granted, there have been some changes to both, right? But like, just like the Eagles have so many ways to beat you, so do the Ravens. I think that you guys are like doomsday, and I get it because it's like the same old story as the last couple of years, but they're going to be so fine. I expect AFC Championship if, nothing. And I know you guys won the Super Bowl, but like that's like the floor, right? The ceiling is Super Bowl, the floor is AFC Championship. They're going to be completely fine. So I had to get that off after listening to, an hour and a half where you guys talk about it's doomsday, and I get it. I totally get it. It would be the same thing in Philly Sports Talk Radio. So
yeah, somebody's got to provide that like third party perspective sometimes, especially like as you said, like we're just so kind of like insulated in it, and especially when we're just opening up the emotional vein after a game like that, which we were talking about before you got in here. We'd love to do that because it's like therapeutic for us. It does big numbers. People love
100%.
Stuff. So
yeah, I mean, I'm an Eagles fan, and if they lost that game after Jaylen Carter did what he did, like, come on, like, what are we doing? But
what is Philly Sports Talk saying about Jaylen Carter if they lose that game?
Well, people were saying like I don't listen to it anymore. I just see the clips on Twitter just because it's toxic, and like those hosts are just trying to get ratings. And the one guy, I'm not even gonna say his name because he doesn't deserve it, but he was saying that he thinks that the Eagles themselves should suspend Jaylen Carter for week 2. And it's like, you're going to Kansas City, you didn't run the ball great last week, but like he is your best defensive player. Maybe you could argue Quinyon Mitchell, but like Jaylen Carter is the game wrecker. Why are you, he already knows he screwed up, right? Like
he served his suspension. The league said that like we're using this first game that he missed as his suspension.
He was suspended for a game
and a fine, and he got fined. Yeah. And we don't have to get into all that. We can talk sports gambling and betting and fun stuff, but I had to provide that Ravens take because it's like the sky is falling. I get it. You guys will beat the Browns by 40, and it'll be a happy morning mugs coffee Monday.
Happy morning mugs coffee Monday. Bo, the books have really nerfed a lot of shit over the last year or two. Touchdown odds are so much worse than they were like 2 years ago. When you're just looking at the board today, like this year, college football, NFL, Thursday, Friday, starting to look at the board, where are you going? Like I so many people like want to bet. It's fun to bet. You go to your team, things like that. But we have kind of like our group of friends has kind of shifted into like we're trophy hunters. We don't mind, losing. If you want to be for profit all the time, you're going to get upset. Doesn't happen. The best cappers in the world win like 3% more than they lose. So when you're just, all right, it's football weekend, getting into college football, getting into NFL, where are your eyes starting? What books are you starting? Where are you starting?
So books I use are the two main ones, DraftKings and FanDuel, and I'm always comparing odds. That Daniel Jones play, I took Daniel Jones for 2 touchdowns straight as well. Had my, always take advantage of the promos they're offering, the no sweat bets, all that stuff. I'm always looking at value. Like we just talked about, Daniel Jones is a better runner than he's a passer. Like looking at stuff like that. The Jaylen Hurts play, like Jaylen Hurts to me, and again, biased Eagles fan, whatever. Jaylen Hurts to me is an auto touchdown bet every single week, unless it's minus 200. Derrick Henry
was down to minus 125, I think, on DraftKings right before kickoff Thursday night.
Yeah. So like I looked today, DraftKings has touchdown odds up. FanDuel doesn't yet, but today Jaylen Hurts was minus 145. I didn't bet it yet. Plus 390 for 2. In my opinion, it's like they have a play that's unstoppable. The league tried to ban it, and it's because he scores automatic touchdowns on it. It's like that's free money to me, and I hate using the word free when you're talking about gambling. I mean, they have arguably, Henry or Saquon, the best running back in the league, sort of thing. Until that number gets to like minus 200, I would bet Hurts like up to like minus like 160, minus 170 range for a touchdown, because I think that's like I hate laying that number. I will 100% Spencer, what you just said, like 125 is like, it's so easy. I took him for 1. I didn't take him for 2 last week. It's like, as soon as he scores the second one, I'm like, why didn't I do that? Josh Allen, Hurts, Kyron Williams, and Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry, they mess with the odds though. Like Derrick Henry,
he was down to minus. He was minus 340. Like, I've seen him minus 340 last year.
That's just stupid. And like you said, like trophy hunters, like I always like a positive bet, right? So I'm always going to take like a home underdog in college football. I'm always going to take, those plus numbers. I love that. But like other guys will, other people that gamble, they like to put those minus 340s, those minus 170s, all those into like a parlay to make it even money. And I'm like, I don't like doing that because, I'm, for these parlays and stuff, I'm putting like $10 on it, 10 to win 100 or 10 to win 200. Like, I don't seek that as fun. But if Henry's at minus 150, that same range as like Hurts is, then like auto to me, right?
I think so. You've mentioned Kyron, you've mentioned Derrick Henry. We've talked about those. The plays I feel like we're always running are quarterback touchdowns, wide receiver 3-2 touchdowns, running back receiving yards, those kinds of plays. My favorite bet that you've hit in the last couple of years, Tim Patrick 2 touchdowns. What was that, 150 to 1? And the thing that you always remind me of that I love is you mentioned that thing just now. Hey, here's minus EV 5 bets, and like I'm getting plus 210, plus 220. Just at a simple level, wanting 5 things to happen doesn't feel good. Instead of, hey, I can put $10 on this. Their wide receiver 3, has been getting a lot of red zone snaps, whatever it is. The Lions were high scoring offense. That's what you say. They score a lot of touchdowns. Everybody's on Amon-Ra. The running backs are really good. Tim Patrick's playing a lot. It's 150 to 1. I'm smacking Tim Patrick. I don't know. What would you hit? 1, 2. You hit him multiple weeks for touchdowns. You hit him on the 2 touchdown. That was like a $5,000 play off of, one
$25 bet. Yeah.
$25 bet, one thing happening. Like I feel like we've gotten to the point where the parlays, the parlays are never more than like 4 legs, like 3 legs at most.
Yeah.
3 legs at most. If that, 2 legs a lot, and it's plus EV, plus 800, plus 600, scoring touchdowns, things that happen, man. And that to me is like the books have nerfed so many things. I know Jake had a question he wanted to ask you, Bo, but like the books have nerfed so many things. So I feel like that's where value still lies. Simply guys that play a lot, scoring touchdowns, plus value, not expecting 5 different things to happen. Otherwise, it's truly just a crapshoot. Like truly.
Yeah. Look at red zone targets. Look at snaps. Like Jahan Dotson. Like I played Jahan Dotson touchdown last week. It didn't hit. But like, dude, look how many targets he had. He out-targeted AJ Brown. Like, look at like stuff like that. I think that you're right. Like wide receiver 3, especially when I keep bringing up the Eagles. I got 2 little kids at home, so like I get to watch the primetime games like fully. That's why I'm like, I'm fully locked in on the Ravens. I'm fully locked in on the Eagles. But when the teams have like great, like look at a team like Denver, right? They have 2 great corners, and then the slot guy is like questionable. It's like, so when you see matchups like Cam Ward had an awesome game. Like I watched the highlights on Twitter after. I wasn't fully locked into that game at all. He was putting balls on the numbers to these guys, and they just weren't catching them. Like you take a wide receiver 3, $10 to win 750 on 2 touchdowns on, whoever they're playing. I like doing stuff like that. I like, and I say all this with my FanDuel and my DraftKings is actually positive. I looked year to date. I'm actually the last 5 years, whenever they've been legal in Jersey, 6 years, my DraftKings is actually positive. My FanDuel, I'm down a ton. So I say all this to say I am no expert. I like to have fun with it. I do $20, $10 bets to win, thousands of dollars just to have fun.
You downplay yourself. You put some big units on some crazy things.
True.
You'll put $100 bets on 30, 40 to 1. Of course, everybody's modest, but I don't know. You've just encouraged me to seek trophy hunter, be a trophy hunter a little bit more on 1 or 2 legs instead of like 5 guys to hit a home run or shit like that. Where I feel like it's just.
Or my like 8 leg touchdown parlays that I convince myself I'm going to hit and then pay off my student loans. Like that's
so. Jake, you brought that up. Spencer brought it up earlier. the thing that, like, if you're doing like the home run bets, I always say I'll put $20 on 3 guys, and the way I'll do it is I'll round robin it, right? So
every time, every
time, because it's like there have been this whole summer I lost a ton of money betting home runs, but you hit, you put $3 on the times 3, so it's $9, and then you put $11 on the whole parlay, so like it'll be like $11 to win like 1,500, right? So in total, I'm betting $20, where if I hit that, 2 out of 3 hit, I'm winning like $80, and I'm profiting $60, where it made it fun. And it's also like, you're tuning into every at bat, on your MLB app of, I got Taylor Ward to hit a home run at, 11 o'clock at night. I'm in bed checking it. It's like, it's fun versus like, 10 to on 8 guys touchdown parlay. Throw $5 on that parlay, throw $2 on the round robin. And then when 6 out of 8 hit, you're like, all right, I actually broke even, or I made a little, a couple dollars. It's like, it makes it way more fun versus like, I went 7 for 8 and I want to jump off the Bay Bridge in the morning. You know what I mean?
Right.
Well, the people are asking what you're sipping on here in the comments.
Little Reposado tequila. It's called Activo.
We love a little tequila on this show.
Hell yeah. I see the whiskey. I'm not a whiskey guy. I tried it. I don't love it. I'm a tequila. I'm a Reposado tequila is almost in that whiskey category.
Yeah, it looks a little like
dark
up there. Yeah. No, that's solid. Like what you mentioned, like you play the different books. What's like the difference between the two in your eyes? Because like I'm more of a DraftKings guy. I know Spenny tends more towards FanDuel. As a very casual gambler, as I revealed just now, like what's kind of the
Bo, you also lied. You don't play 2 books. You play 5 books. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yes, so it depends on what I like. So like Jake, to your question, so I had the $100 no sweat bet on Daniel Jones 2 touchdowns this past week. Before I put that in, week 1, every single book is offering crazy stuff, right? No sweat here, parlay this, da 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 da. I checked and I was like, Daniel Jones on DraftKings was 14-1 for 2 touchdowns. On FanDuel, he was 20-1. So I put a $100 bet in, and it won $2,000. It was unreal. It's just crazy the way it happened. Everything happened. I think that FanDuel has the best user experience. They have the best layout. It's easy to access, easy to use. If you opt into any of their stuff, it'll pop up immediately, like when you're like 30% on this or whatever. DraftKings user experience is terrible in my opinion. It's clunky. It's all over the place. It's like
picking up their promos is tough. Like don't work. Yes, you opt in, it doesn't work. There was something you needed to do that was in the fine print. It's not just like click. Now this is added, and there's so many times when you have to like go back, check it 3 times, you get frustrated.
I like the fact that like when I share my bet on DraftKings, it says what it is. If I share it to a group chat, hey, like last night, Spencer, shout out to you and a couple others that I always love the quarterback touchdowns. Last night we hit JJ McCarthy and Caleb Williams touchdown. That was unreal.
He thought that 25 rushing yards. He thought he was going to have to take.
Yes, I know, dude. That's so awesome that they didn't kneel and So it's like when you share your bet, you can see both of those. I love that feature. Like there's certain things. I was out at a brewery this past weekend, and I met this guy. He goes to daycare with my son, and he works for FanDuel. And I was giving him all these tips. I'm like, dude, these are things that would make like the experience so much better for the user. Like if you share a bet on FanDuel in your group chat, it literally just says like, link to my bet. It doesn't show what it is. ESPN book, it shows like, hey, these are the 4 legs of the parlay, or this is what I like. I'm taking, Alabama minus 13.5, whatever you bet, it shares in the actual group chat so people can see it, and they don't have to click the link, add it to the thing, log into their account, see, do I have money? Like it's clunky. So, like in my opinion, FanDuel's the best book, just for the user experience. But you brought up something, Spencer, I wanted to touch on too. So like the longest touchdowns. Caesars used to have it was like longest run and touchdown, and if you parlayed it, so like NFC Championship game, I went crazy on Saquon. I had him 30 plus carry, 40 plus carry, 50 plus carry, and that was all they offered was up to 50 plus. First time he touches the ball, if you parlayed it with Saquon to score, it would let's say it was 7
it was like 9 or 10 to 1 for the 50-yard rush plus the touchdown would make it like 30, 40 to 1.
Yeah, not for him, but yes, for receivers, that's where you could nuke it. Yeah, like if you had like a Marvin Mims to have a 40-yard reception was like 10 to 1, and if you put a touchdown with him, that would go crazy. It would go to like 30 to 1, 40 to 1. Saquon, they were a little more like conservative on, just because it's, you know, running back touchdown is a lot easier than a receiver touchdown. So like we went crazy on that last year. I was playing like everything on that last year, but NFC Championship, we have 30, 40, 50. First touch was a 50-yard touchdown. And it's like, I just won everything I put in that day. It's like certain things like that. It's like trying to find. Now, Caesar stopped doing that. The only book that I see that does that now is ESPN. So like I lost every bet that I placed on those guys last week. But we did
Jamison Williams, we did Marvin Mims,
yep.
We did Tyreek Hill.
Yep.
50 plus yard reception plus 1,200 and a touchdown would take it to 50 to 1. And then we would like parlay Jamison Williams longest plus Tyreek Hill longest plus each to score. And it was like 500 to 1. It was like $5 to win, $5,000. And both of those guys, I mean, Tyreek didn't do a ton last year, but they house touchdowns all the time.
Now, after week 1, let's talk about that, right? We talked about it in the group chat, Spencer. I'm just going to air it out. Detroit, their whole line is different. Jared Goff, again, 2 little kids. I didn't get to watch fully watch that Lions Packers game. Every time I looked at it, though, he's under duress, especially with Micah now. Who do the Lions have week 2?
Let's take a look. It was on the road too.
It's true. But
they're playing the Bears at home. Yep, Bears at home, 1:00 game in Detroit.
Turf. Jamison Williams. I'll tell you this. I will be playing on ESPN Bet this week. I'll be playing Jamison Williams 50-yard reception.
I think he had 5 last year, and his odds to have a 50-yard reception when you don't even parlay them on ESPN Bet with a touchdown are 12 to 1.
Yes.
So
yep.
that would imply that happens 1.5 times in a regular season. He did 5 times last year. So
that's my whole point is like, look at those trends, right? Like certain trends, again, I'm being, upfront and honest. I lost like every, like, I just thought it was funny. I texted my Jets friends and I'm like, what happened when Brett Favre came back to the Jets after, he left them? And they were like, we beat the Vikings when he was on the Vikings. I'm like, okay, I'm taking the Jets +3 just because of the whole Aaron Rodgers, fiasco, all that stuff. Jared Goff was 8-0 in week 1. Took that. Colts had lost 11 straight week 1s. Took the Dolphins. Dumpster fire. Everyone's talking, So
trend.
Yeah, I try and find
a trend is literally things that have already existed and are in the past. Trends.
Right,
I hate those trends.
But my whole thing is, if you can tell me a reason why you took that bet, all right, do I like it? Do I hate it? Like if you say, hey, I like this receiver to do this, this, and this because in the past he's all right. I see that logic. If you can bring logic and information into why you're taking that, like that makes sense to me. But back to what we were talking about, I'll take Jameson 50+ next week because he's probably going to.
He was way better to buck what I just said on hating on trends, but I'm pretty sure like 4 of his 5 50-yard receptions came in Detroit also on turf.
Fair, on turf, faster. Yeah, that's another reason why I liked Tyreek last week. Turf, fast, I just feel like there's certain things that you can pick up on that they're not paying attention to, that it's like, all right, you can really hammer it. Who else were we on? Saquon. I was on Saquon this past week. Like the same thing I said, 30-yard, 40-yard, 50-yard. He's, week 2 we got the Chiefs. I'll probably play it. Am I going to be as confident in it? Hell no. It's the Chiefs, interior rush defense is normally good. You got Chris Jones. But Nick Bolton, great linebacker. But if they're giving me 8 to 1 odds for him to have a 50-yard carry when he can break one, and then it's like, all right,
Again, I think he had 9 carries of 40+ yards last year, if I'm not mistaken. And the odds on 40+ are 8 to 1, 7 to 1. That means that he hits that 2.5 times in a season. So if you get that every week, that to me is what the value is. It's the bigger, longer odd plays on single lines as opposed to Justin Jefferson to have 70 yards, plus freaking Monrod to have 8 catches, plus. It's like, oh, my 7-leg parlay is definitely going to hit, bro. Like those.
And I think that's the fun of it, right? That's what's fun is you look up and you see on Red Zone or however you're consuming the games, Jameson Williams freaking running a 70-yard touchdown, and you're like, I just had a $10 bet to win $130 on a 13-1. He had a 50-yard reception, right? And again, like I was saying, that's only available that I've seen on any books on ESPN. Caesars has really eliminated like everything. It's so weird. I think they might be like either folding up or trying to get bought.
Their UI hasn't been touched in 2 years either.
And Caesars is a Vegas. If I I'm pretty sure Caesars is like Vegas, like corporation, where Vegas is illegal to bet online. So like they probably haven't invested a ton of resources into it. Versus like FanDuel and DraftKings, like they make the bulk of their money from people like you and I who are playing, these parlays.
Caesars online sportsbook is not the majority of their revenue stream. That's a great point.
Right. It's like, it's illegal where they're headquartered versus like FanDuel's headquarters, like most of their business, they, were legalized in Jersey. Is like, that's where they want to make their money.
The longest are our favorite plays. Again, it's just explosive players, guys that are Trey Tucker on the Raiders right now. He had a 29-yard touchdown. He had a couple 40-yard receptions. I'm looking at guys like that. Those are our favorite plays. What else, like college football, anything else wise? What just fire off. What else comes to mind this season, like considering how the books have kind of nerfed stuff, and like what are you liking?
Yeah, so Trey Tucker, that's one I had not thought of. That's something to keep in the back of that, write that down. So when it comes to college football, I post my record on Twitter. 2 years ago, had an awesome year. I think I was up I bet just spreads and money lines in that. And again, I like the plus money teams. Like I love home underdogs in college football. Was on Mississippi State this past week. I start to handicap that stuff on like a Thursday. I'll look at who has really good stuff on that is the Bear, who used to work for ESPN. Now he's at Fox. He has awesome stuff on that. He'll put like a whole Twitter thread about certain things like, Penn State being favored, and this is the only time that like, I love those trends, especially in college football.
College football spread betting is so much more volatile. I feel like the books are so much worse at making lines for college than NFL. I feel like NFL lines are locked up so close so often. College lines are nuts. So many upsets. You mentioned home underdogs, that kind of stuff. College line betting is so fun.
So I think the problem with that is, one, in college, there's too many games, right? There's too many games for them to have a sharp action on every single one to handicap. That's number one. Number two is in the NFL, I'm almost positive, you can look this up, 70% of games last year were decided by one score, right?
Correct.
So when my Giants fans friends say, oh, the Giants lost 6 games or 7 games last year by one score, it's like, well, 70% of the games were decided by one score. So the NFL is just, it's too competitive. It's the best of the best of the best. Look at the Titans last week, right? Like, they go into Denver, and they honestly should have won that game. Like, what the hell was Sean Payton doing? In the like that was crazy. And I totally agree with what you're saying about having somebody that's mad and trained in the booth. Like, that's crazy.
Sean Payton would never listen to the Madden guy. He'd be like, shut the fuck up.
No, he would actually hire that guy just so he could like stuff him in a locker after the end of the game. On Payton, like that.
But I just feel like in college there's too many. So what I like to do in college is I feel like I get really, really good at college in like week 4, week 5, when there's a trend of they've played common opponents, or they've, I look at like the last, 4 weeks. Hey, what did this team do? A lot easier to do when teams like, I brought up Penn State. Penn State has, played the last 2 weeks like the schools of like the deaf and the blind, right? It's like they're not playing against teams where you can actually get an assumption of like, hey, this is, teams that matter. I like betting on the teams that matter. Ranked games, looking at good, good teams against other good teams.
So you want like
conference.
my service academy first half covers because like nobody's like seeing these teams that run the option like exclusive.
Yeah, right. That's great though. Like last year, and they are still pretty. I'm pretty sure I think they won a cover last week. I gotta look at it, but Syracuse, right? A team that's in the ACC that's playing against Syracuse, going to that area of the country in the middle of November or December when it's 20 degrees outside. They don't want to get off the bus. They granted they play in a dome, but like it's looking for that type of stuff, right? I think that what I try and hunt in college football is information, right? Trends, looking at what did this team do the last couple of weeks, and then just in terms of everything, it's like home underdogs, because like look at Mississippi State last week. I had them; they were plus 185 on the money line. Like that was a tight game.
Home field advantage in college football when it's 100,000 people and it's a 19-year-old quarterback who is clapping to snap the ball is the most underrated thing I think of any football spread or
JJ clapping to snap the ball last night.
JJ McCarthy was clapping to snap. NFL stadiums are not as loud as 20 to 30 college stadiums. Like there are 20 louder college stadiums than any NFL stadium. I like LSU Death Valley. If they're a home underdog by 4.5 points on some stupid shit, it is miserable to play there.
Yep. I was saying, so 2 years ago, I did Austin college football, rode Washington, as Spencer knows, all the way to the championship with Michael Penix. I love Michael Penix too. I think he's a dog. I think that he's going to that's that they lost in the most Falcons way possible, right? Like great kicker misses that kick, like to go to overtime. Baker's a dog too. But I love Michael Penix. Like I think he's a baller. He's old. He's but at the same time, like I find those college quarterbacks that like have that, in them to
Dylan Gabriel upsets this year.
Yes, that's a team to be that's slept on right now is Oregon. Oregon is like, dude, they ran the score. They named their number last week, and I wasn't on them, but like because I'm kind of seeing how this plays out again. Like, but Mike Gundy might be fired after that. Like he's probably got like 1 or 2 more weeks left in him before they're telling him to pack his shit. Can we curse on here?
Yeah.
They're telling Gundy to pack his shit. Like it's I don't know. So finding those like diamonds in the rough of teams that like Oregon was not supposed to do much this year, right? A lot of turnover, a lot of NFL guys. Dylan Gabriel leaves. He's a 6-year starter in college football. Finding those diamonds in the rough. Last year in college football, I did not do great. There was 1 week I think I went like 2-12, and that happens, right? You're on the wrong side. I'm by no means am I an expert, but I'm gonna follow trends. I'm gonna, if I bet a game, it's because I have an opinion on it, right? Like I had Missouri last week, and they should not have covered, but they won and covered. They were down 21-6. And they were up. They went down the field, scored a touchdown, missed extra point, and then they were down 21-6 against Kansas at home, and they had a 50 or 60-yard run touchdown. Now they're covering like late in the fourth quarter, and then Kansas gets the ball with like 2 minutes left and throws a pick, kneel it out, game over. I should not have won that bet. I should not have covered that bet. That's luck. That's the Keon Coleman catch off a tip ball, right, to bring it full circle.
That's the beauty of all of it. That's the beauty of all of it.
Yes, 100%. That's college football, though. It's so much fun. If you look at Missouri's schedule, they are going to be good this year. Like they're probably if they do, if they go,
they're turning into a little bit of a program. They're turning into a little bit of a program there in Columbia.
Dude, look at their quarterback too, right? Could have been involved in packages when Penn State made that playoff run last year. And he was like, I'm out of here. I'm going to Missouri. I'm going to, go here early, learn the offense. And then the first game against, Sisters of the Poor as well. But he's like 23 for 28 for 250 yards, and he threw 2 and ran 1. It's like those teams that I, find that it's like the books have not caught up yet.
Schedule right now, you might be so right. Missouri's schedule is home against University of Louisiana, home against South Carolina, who is flawed. UMass, Bama, who God only knows, like those teams are not. There's not some disparity between those teams anymore.
No, that could be DeBoer fired if they lose that.
Those
game. Where is game? Where is that game?
They're at home through Bama.
Dude,
Then they travel to Auburn, which, whatever, anything can happen.
Yeah.
Vandy, who is not as good this year.
They
play at home against Texas A&M, at home against Mississippi State. They go to Oklahoma, and they go to Arkansas. Them making playoffs might be a great bet.
That's what I'm saying. So look at that. And in college football too, we talk about, what do you look at? What do you look for? Look at schedules. Florida's schedule this year, last year too, gauntlet, like insane schedule. Look, I'm going to be fading Oklahoma off a huge win. I forget who they play this week. Oklahoma's schedule is ridiculous. Like
Oklahoma beat Michigan at home, and Michigan has a second-week true freshman quarterback in the NIL era.
Dude,
Mateer, Heisman, get it. Get your bets in now.
Mateer did look good. That is a great Heisman.
Look at their last 4 weeks.
They got their home against Ole Miss. They actually are just they're screwed. They play Kent State on October 4th. Then they play at Texas, at South Carolina. They host Mississippi, Ole Miss. Then they go to Tennessee, to Alabama. They're at home against Missouri before they host LSU, who is so good. That's the second hardest schedule in the country.
That's what I'm saying. So look at that when you're betting, right?
Yeah, we talked about that with NFL. We do a full prediction slate. We pick literally every game of the year,
and it's all 256 games. Both of us.
No way, seriously.
Yeah. And it's you just go on this website and you can do it actually relatively quickly. But even doing it quickly, you realize that it's easy to just look at a team and say they'll go 12-5, they'll go whatever record because of just vibes. But when you actually go through a schedule and have to pick it game by game, it changes a lot your perspective.
I think that it's also too I saw a stat that it was again, I'm bringing up the Eagles. The Eagles are the first team to win the Super Bowl and not have back-to-back home games this year. They don't that shit matters. Yeah. You're sleeping in your bed for 2 weeks straight versus you're on the road.
Missouri's not leaving their beds until mid-late October.
Dude, I'm telling you, I think that they're not going to win the national championship. And if they do, it's, some crazy, we talk about long shots and odds. Would I throw $10 on them to win 500, 50 to 1? I don't know what their odds are.
Sure.
But their schedule is very, very favorable. It's same with Notre Dame. If Notre Dame lost week 1, against Miami, and then they run the table, they're going to be on the playoff. I think they might falter here or there, and I always take Notre Dame to miss the playoff. Now, obviously, it's expanded, and they, it's 12 teams versus 4, but I think that I just do that because I can't stand them, and I think that they get the short end of the stick in their favor in terms of they're not in a conference, so they can play whoever that they want any year, anytime. I hate that, and they just get it because of the name recognition. It's like if Ohio State was guess what? We're leaving the Big Ten. We're going independent, and we'll play who we want to play, and we'll have 3 ranked games that are big time matchups per year. So I always bet Notre Dame to miss the playoffs. Did last year, saw how that worked out. Obviously, they're in the championship game, so stuff like that. It's but again, I'm getting a plus number. I'm getting $50 plus 135 or whatever it ends up being. But it's fun stuff like that. If you haven't guessed yet, I truly enjoy talking ball, talking gambling, talking sports with
It's funny. It's funny, Bo. You've said several times I'm not an expert, but you've been betting since you were 8 years old. We're gonna have you on. Wanted to have you on to get people to know you a little bit. I'm doing spending the bets being my friends, me, Jake, friends. You're gonna be on, Bo, several times this year. So wanted to give you the floor for a good bit here. Want to get one final take, but I do want to say. What's your Twitter again? What's your handle right now? I'm gonna have to start memorizing it.
It's at Bow, my last name, BOWE, and then the number 2, and then .0, the 0. Bow 2.0.
Bow, number 2, point, number 0. Bow 2.0. Yep. So Chunk wants to know real fast, outside perspective, what do you think of John Harbaugh?
Dude, so he came up with the Eagles. He was an Andy Reid guy. He was a special teams coach with them. If not anything, the Ravens have always had good special teams, right? That's his core. That's what he thrives on. Macro view, you guys are so entrenched in it. He gets fired tomorrow, he gets whatever job he wants. Dude, what is his record overall? What's his winning percentage? Like 60%, 70%?
64%.
Dude, like Baltimore is very similar to Philadelphia in the sense that they lose a game they should have won. Look at last year, right? I'll bring this up again. I'm relating all of this to you guys.
Of course.
Week 4, the Eagles are 2-1 at home, playing on, I think it was a Thursday night game against the Falcons. They have the game wrapped
with Saquon.
up.
That's when the Saquon cost me $800.
Saquon drops that ball on 4th and 1. It was either 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1. It was 4th and 1. They go for it. Saquon drops that ball. This, Kirk Cousins leads the drive down the field. The sky is falling in Philadelphia. We're 2-2. We have Super Bowl aspirations. That's the same thing that you guys are in right now, except it's week 1 versus week 4. Like, dude, I watched that game on Sunday night, and I'm like, it's crazy that he has that many blown leads or whatever since 1991 or 7 or whatever that crazy Twitter stat is. He has the most. Yeah, I would rather that than like my question always to Ravens fans or people that want to fire a good coach is like, okay, what's your alternative, right? Spencer, when I was listening to you guys, talking about this a little bit, like you hired Mike McDaniel. How did that go? I loved him. I love Spencer. We talk about, too. I was on the Von A-Chain train before anybody else. I had his college.
You hit bangers on A-Chain last year.
I loved him, right? It's certain things, 2 years ago when he was a rookie, or it was 2 or 3 years ago when he was a rookie. It's like, I love Mike McDaniel. Harbaugh is like, what's your alternative to him? Who are you going to hire? Like, who are you going to hire that's going to walk in and go 12
It's like, I just always make the comparison. Like, it's like you have a loving wife who is a great cook. She's great with your kids. She keeps in relatively good shape. And sometimes you argue with her and, you've had your rough patches a little bit, but life's always good. Bed's always made. It's lovely. You have a supportive, nice partner now. Like, but do you want to go get in a Ferrari with a hot blonde? Well, what does that lead to? Like Mike McDaniel's the hot blonde. Ben Johnson, like it or not, Ben Johnson's a hot blonde. Like it's truly the grass is always greener. It's the number one grass is greener, and it could be the right move. Eagles, I would say, are such an interesting perspective because the constant comparison Ravens fans talk about a lot. Andy Reid can't get over the hill, and the Eagles can't get over the hill, can't get over the hill, can't get over the hill. Let him go. Goes to the Chiefs, ends up making a dynasty.
Yes,
then
exactly.
Doug Peterson got them over the hump, got them their magic Super Bowl, and then it led to Nick Sirianni. They get another. So it's just like, could that be the case?
Know,
absolutely.
Here's the weird thing, though, too, Spencer, right? I'm an Eagles fan, but I love Chip Kelly. Everybody hates Chip Kelly because he traded away all the good players. I think Chip Kelly is a genius. I think he revolutionized football. I think that there are so many concepts and so many things that are still done to this day that he thought of before anybody else. And it's like it's the same thing with Mike McDaniel. Like it's like, yeah, his offense is amazing, but like, is he a great head coach? Chip Kelly is not a great head coach, but he is a genius in terms of like.
He also was like trying to be the GM in Philly too. Like he brought all these guys in, and
he went hard and fast.
But like, it's right. It's like, you want me to be the chef, and you don't let me buy the groceries. I understood where Chip was coming from in that sense, dude. You look at like his drafting history, right? And it's like his first ever draft, whether Howie wants to take credit for it or Chip wants to take credit for it. They took Lane Johnson. He's still in the league, and if not the best tackle in the league, like it's like
first ballot Hall of Fame. The reason the Eagles have won 2 Super Bowls, you could argue, is very much because of Lane Johnson.
Right. So like where and Howie will take credit for that now, and Chip, that was his first year. It's like they both obviously agreed on that pick, whatever you want to get into, but overall, I think that like, okay, let me ask you guys this: Harbaugh's fired tomorrow. Who's like? You know what I mean? Where is he? Like, who are you hiring? What's
Ravens
next?
fans really want Kyle Shanahan, which is really funny.
No, I hate him. I will stand up right now and Spencer, Jake, you're about to learn. Kyle Shanahan is a bad coach. It's the same thing as Chip Kelly. He's a great offensive coordinator. The same thing as Mike McDaniel. That's the same tree. Mike McDaniel, Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan is a bad head coach. Bad. I will not hear that. Like, oh my God. Are
It's
you
funny
serious?
Because Harbaugh needs to get the Madden guy, the common sense coordinator, as I'm going to start calling it, and he needs to literally, he might even help himself like 10% in Q rating by fixing his body language. Like, I don't know how like much you see
his approval rating with the city of Baltimore and beyond goes up if he simply stops going like this.
Yeah, and like going like he's like he looks like he's in like the Edvard Munch's The Scream. Like, you know, he's doing like this, and he's like he's got the hands on the knees, and then he's like in the press conferences too. He's very dismissive at times, and you know, he can be like,
let me ask you this though.
Any favors, but there's a reason behind it, which I get. So I kind of like.
Would you rather him be the emotional roller coaster on the sideline like Nick Sirianni?
He kind of has that vibe a little bit.
You think, dude? I think that
he used to.
Yeah, nobody's as extreme as Sirianni, but he definitely like he wears his emotions on his sleeve in a way that makes you nervous as a fan.
I would argue Jim is.
Jim is angry. Jim has angry energy like Sirianni.
Jim is just as emotional as Nick is. Yeah, and
I think John Harbaugh is on freaking what is the heart medication for high blood pressure? What the hell is it called?
No, but like seriously, okay. Kyle Shanahan is employed right now. That's out of the question. Who is their head coach? Is it Rex Ryan? Like, who are you hiring? Is my question, right? Like
the one guy the last couple of years that Ravens fans wanted that we definitely would have been cool with was Mike McDonald, who went to Seattle. We said if there is a coach to move on from Harbaugh, it is Mike McDonald, who was with the Ravens for 10 years, but was revolutionizing football defensively and went outside, went with Jim, went to college, did all that stuff with Michigan. Like, would be a little bit of like, ask the president, the future, those kinds of things. That, and lo and behold, the Seahawks make him a high-paid head coach, and you know he's fighting being middling there with their setup.
Yeah, and you have a quarterback. The Ravens have a quarterback. Does Seattle have a quarterback? It's like they're limbo, right?
Exactly. Do you agree with this take, Bo? If Sirianni didn't go to or win the Super Bowl last year, he would be fired.
No. I let's say they won the division and lost in the first round, or lost to the
Rams in the divisional round.
Yeah, I don't think he'd be fired. No, I mean, dude, like, look at his record. It's the same thing as Harbaugh, right? You guys, the sky is falling, 0-1, like 64% win percentage or whatever you just said. Like, look at Nick. I think Nick has the most wins in he's been with the Eagles for 4 years, I think now. Like, I'm pretty sure he leads the league in wins since 2021 or 2022, whenever he, took the job. So
the Eagles have kind of run shop on a little bit less competitive NFC, and he's just fucking dominated.
Definitely. But like, dude, I talk to fans of all different teams in the conference or whatever, especially, being with the Cowboys and now the R words, as they call them, or the Commanders, like they have their chest out. Oh, we had a good year last year. It's like, you haven't been relevant in 30 years. And now, and they're like, oh, we beat you last year. I'm like, you beat Kenny Pickett. You beat Kenny, you know what I mean? Like, it's so, yes, it's been a knockdown version of, what you guys have a competitive division every year. The Steelers are going to go above 500 every single year. Cincinnati's going to have a crazy offense. The Browns are the Browns, right? The Browns were the Redskins, the Commanders, the Redskins of the division in what we look at. Yes, but dude, you look at the last couple of years, like the Eagles, 2 out of the last 4 years have played a first place schedule, right? Like, yeah, like look at the Giants' schedule this year is, I think, the third hardest. I don't know what the Eagles is. I just know that the Giants is like the third hardest. Like, they're not playing a cakewalk by any means, right? The Eagles' schedule this year is pretty tough too. Like, look up strength of schedule. I'm pretty sure the Eagles are probably top 10 just based off Dallas and the Commanders alone, plus a first place schedule.
Yeah, they play the Chiefs this week. The other thing I think is insane overall, Alex Stecco here in the comments, I don't think what's the alternative is necessarily something you have to consider on the topic, more about the definition of insanity. Then the Bills should fire Sean McDermott.
Yes.
If the Ravens should fire John Harbaugh, the Bills should fire Sean McDermott. The Bengals should fire Zach Taylor. I believe that one wholeheartedly. I think
me too. I agree with that.
But the Chiefs have gone to what, five Super Bowls? Like, who went to the Super Bowl? It was them and the Bengals since Lamar took over as a full-time starter in 2019. It is Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes. So the Bills haven't gone. McDermott's got to go then too. Like that, Bills fans say that. So
but hold on. To Alex's point though, but like I'm being serious. John Harbaugh is fired tomorrow. Who are you replacing him with that's going to get you to the Super Bowl? Right? Like, let's make it make sense. Did I think Nick Sirianni was the answer? No. He's a wide receivers coach from Indianapolis, right? Like, I knew nothing about the guy, but like he had it in him, right? But, okay, I see this coming through. Gruden is a Super Bowl winning coach, great coach. That's a great answer. Did not think about that at all. But is he getting you there? I don't know. He's an offensive guy. The Ravens have the best offense in the league under what they're doing right now with Todd Monken, right?
They certainly have. And Gruden was relatively solid with the Raiders. I like Gruden. I love his personality, all of those things. But like,
you got a raw deal too.
Definitely. But what can you tell me that Gruden's going to do better? What, to your point, Bo? I mean, is it that he's going to win 10% more games when they have an 80% plus win probability? So he will win one or two more close games. Is he going to get you to as many blowouts? Then it goes to a wider discussion of like Lamar Jackson, things like that. So it's sure. Like, okay, is Gruden the guy? I don't know. Gruden hasn't won a Super Bowl since before John Harbaugh won a Super Bowl. I don't know. I don't know that that's the answer. He hasn't been coaching in years at this point.
Dude, the only way that you're firing John Harbaugh is if Lamar is healthy and they go
and they miss the playoffs.
Exactly. Yeah.
If they miss the playoffs this year, Lamar plays 17 games, sure.
Yes.
Fire him. If you get blown out in the wild card and Steve Bisciotti, the Ravens owner, sure.
Right.
If they play Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers in the wild card and Aaron Rodgers runs fucking rough shop on them, Lamar turns the ball over 4 times, in Baltimore, something like that, sure. So
dude, that's my whole point, right?
That's why I think Bills fans and Ravens fans both are just stuck in this, like, is the grass greener? Is the grass greener, or is the definition of insanity, or those kinds of comments?
Dude, I get it. Like, I understand. I grew up on the Birds not making it out of the NFC Championship game. Then they go to the Super Bowl and they lose it. Like, it's like we can never get over that hump. I get it. Andy doesn't get like they lose in 2004, right? Andy doesn't get fired until 2009, like 5 years past that. It's like it's like, what are you replacing this with that's going to guarantee you the result that you want? You don't know. Like,
I would say the reason that, for instance, specifically like John Harbaugh is the Ravens head coach today is because one time they beat the Patriots in the AFC Championship out of all of the times. Because that's what Tom Brady was doing in the AFC.
True.
They played.
Jake, you've been super quiet though. What are your thoughts on this? Because you've been quiet about this.
I'm just like, I try not to get like too into it or too emotional about it, because like I'm not like one way or the other. Like, it's just not going to happen mid-season. Like, I'm just kind of in the place where like I'm happy to criticize him, and I will criticize him, and I'll talk about like how he needs to tighten up the common sense aspects, like we've talked about. How special teams, you said that they've been good during his tenure. They have, but they've been a little unimpressive if you've been following this team the last couple of years compared to
last year was bad with Tucker. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that too. And even some of their kick coverage stuff is not great. The defense just, I get it's Josh Allen. That's probably your toughest test all year, but they just looked like they didn't even belong out there. So it's just like, for me, I could go one way or the other on it. I argued, Spencer did too, if I remember correctly, that they should have just moved on to Mike Macdonald after 2020.
We wanted them to move on to Mike Macdonald. We thought that Harbaugh could move up into the front office. It could be like what's happened with the Celtics. And
when was that? After what happened?
That was after 2023. So that's when
the Chiefs in the AFC Championship.
Exactly. So it's like I'm at this point, I just want to see how this year plays out, and I'm open to it. And like you guys are saying, what's the alternative thing? I totally get that, but the people that are also saying like, hey, sometimes you gotta take a leap of faith. I get that part of it too. I'm just kind of like, I'm very much in a state of limbo with it right now, where it's like this roster is as good as he's had in a long time. I picked him to finally get over the hump and win the Super Bowl this year. And listen, it totally strikes me as a mental thing. So, Spenny, I think you made the point on Sunday night, like what tangibly changes. I'm not sure anything, but I'm also not sure anything tangible does need to change. I think it might be intangibles. And it's like, is that getting a new voice in the building? It might be. So like I said, it's a lot of it's going to hinge on the way they close this season out. And we're not even anywhere close to knowing how that's going to go. So I'm very like in limbo with it.
To your guys' point, though, it's like you lost in the AFC Championship game. You were one of 4 teams at that point, right? You can't fire him then, right? Yeah. It's like, thanks for your service. I mean, was his contract up? Like, I don't know the full detail. Like, was his contract up? Did they not? Yeah, no. That's where it's like, you know, and don't get me wrong, like the Ravens owner is willing to spend. It's not like it's.
And I think like a lot of people have this thought in their head, and Spenny, I think you even mentioned it. Like they could grandfather him into a front office role. If I know John Harbaugh like I think I do, I don't know if he's going to be
he's
like
going to coach until he dies. His dad coached until he like couldn't freaking he's like around quickly anymore.
He's like just another Pete Carroll. Like he's going to do this thing until he's in the grave, and like good for him if he wants to do that. So like I don't know. It's if everyone's expecting that kind of clean break, I don't know if you're going to get that either. So
Prochacho Jackson says Broncos fired John Fox after a Super Bowl and an AFC Championship game loss, and then what happened?
That's right. It's Jay, to your point, it's like you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, because it is that leap of faith, right? And then there are going to be Ravens fans that win a you guys win a Super Bowl and say, you guys were right, I told you so. You know,
at this point, it honestly is. It truly feels like an Andy Reid scenario at this point in Philly. If they can't break through, this is a great roster. They're probably going to make a trade deadline acquisition. And I just don't. The comments. It just is crazy to me that you think it's 100% John Harbaugh, and that is the only reason. The only reason that the Ravens have not won 2 Super Bowls is strictly just John Harbaugh. Like maybe if they got Ben Johnson, maybe if they brought in John Gruden, maybe. There's such a definite certainty from so many people in the argument that it.
And for as much as like I do think he had his fuck ups on Sunday night, like if you bring in another guy and then Derrick Henry fumbles one time out of an entire year, and like you get a tip ball touchdown catch on 4th down, like that stuff. If that just keeps happening, like it's gonna feel really tough. And like I don't know.
That's my whole point is you win that game 99% of the time, you lose that game the 1% of the time. Just so happens that John Harbaugh is in that 1% a lot more than all that. It's silly shit. It's you know.
Yeah, and if you look at some of the threads on Twitter that talk about the fact that it's because they play with those leads a lot more than other teams, like that's going to happen. So like that's might be a little bit of an overblown thing too, but it shouldn't go on.
Boy, Kyle Shanahan blows 2-score leads in the 4th quarter more percentage-wise than John Harbaugh does. But John Harbaugh is like, I think it was 4th or 5th most, but he was literally in games where they have an 80% win probability. They lose 20% of them, which means they're average. They are average at closing out. They are losing 20% of the time when they're expected to win 80%. That means
out of the last
number, and that's not good, and that's not great. Andy Reid's is half of that. I think Sean McVay was lowest at like of 30 plus opportunities. That Sean McVay I think was 5.6%. So that means 1 out of 5 times in 100 games, Sean McVay blows the lead. Harbaugh's blowing 20 of them.
Yeah, but it's also, I don't know. He's not doing that in the playoffs. In the playoffs is a different story, right? That's where you lose me. The Harbaugh, haters. It's like, yeah, he's not getting over the hump in the playoffs, but like last year, right? Like, I don't want to ever hear the Lamar stuff after last year. Like, yeah, years prior with that, okay, he was bad. He wasn't his regular season self. He wasn't doing Lamar things in the playoffs. Last year's like, he plays a perfect game. Sidebar. That throw, the catch was amazing. The one-handed catch with DeAndre Hopkins, amazing. That was a dot. That was a seed. That was an absolute dime that he threw. No one's talking about it.
It was like it was put out of a machine.
Dude, that was one of the best throws I've seen the whole, week 1. But to change the subject, I don't know when you guys record again, but I would love to come on like a Thursday or Friday or even like a Saturday, like whatever, and just like give you guys we don't have to do 45 minutes or whatever.
We want to do a little intro, have a little fun,
talk
a little betting. It's week 1, but would love to have you on Thursdays. Do a quick 10 minutes, share your slips, share your picks, share your look ahead, things like that. Follow at Bo 2.0 the words bow and point, the numbers 2 and O. We'll have you on.
That'd be sweet.
Gambling
If I
talk.
could
This was
just give
something
you-
a little different than we've done before, and talked about a bunch of crazy stuff and all that stuff. But it was fun, Bo. I love having you on. Thanks for coming on. We'll have you on again. Spending the bets. Make sure to check out Bo 2.0. Make sure to check out my press box picks. The Eliminator Challenge. So many people in there. Still 214 people. If you go to Morning Mugs Coffee before a Ravens home game, they'll give you a special little discount. We're going to have a little coffee special in there. They're going to have some party packs where you can take a big old jug of coffee, throw some Jameson in it if you want, have a nice coffee for these 1 o'clock games, little party pack of coffee ready to go to the tailgate, all that good stuff. So,
Jake, who did you take again in the Survivor?
So I took the Patriots, and,
Right, you said that. Yeah,
and,
Bob
when
Matt's
we-
great, man.
and I as I hinted at, we picked every single NFL game of the season. In that exercise, I picked the Patriots to actually lose that game and the Raiders to be a wild card team. So
That's what happens. So I don't do Survivor. I run a pick 'em pool where it's like pick every game every week, no spread, just like it's a long, it's like baseball. It's like you're picking it's a long thing. And my wife joined a Survivor thing with all of her work friends, and she took the Commanders this past week, and I was like, I don't know, division game, this and that, like whatever, like just give my 2 cents, and I was like, you should take the Broncos. I'm like, you should take and then that was a sweat. So I'm like, I'm not saying anything the rest of the year.
Brachacho Jackson says he believes in Lamar Jackson. And at the end of the day, like, it's going to have to be Lamar doing the damn thing. Joe Flacco, Patrick Mahomes, Jaylen Hurts. Jaylen Hurts had to do the damn thing. Quarterbacks at this point are what have to do it. I would say really the only team that has done it in a weird quarterback situation was probably also the Eagles with Nick Foles, but he played out of his mind. He played absolutely out of his mind regardless. So,
Jake, what are your? I want your guys' thoughts as outsiders. Yeah, giving you my Ravens thoughts. What are your guys' thoughts on Jaylen Hurts? Like, you don't give me like he's top 10 in the league, this, that, or whatever. Like, what do you guys think about him as an outsider? Like, I hear so much, back and forth. And
I tweeted this the other day, and I actually remember saying this his rookie year. He literally just reminds me of like a prime Russell Wilson, like just a guy who is going to take what's there for him, throw occasional nice deep ball, really good mobility, great decision making, just kind of has an it factor. And like you can debate whether he's top 5, whatever. I don't really care about like all that kind of stuff. I just think like the guy is just like, at the end of the day, like Spenny and I talk about golf a little bit, and it's like with certain guys, it's just like his skill is just getting the ball in the hole, and that's kind of what I feel like with Jaylen Hurts. Like the guy's just a fucking scorer. Like I just think he's really fun to watch, and like I don't know, I think he's like, I've seen this happen with Lamar, so I like to avoid it with other guys. Like I think the narrative and the discourse around him just gets really like annoying, and I just enjoy watching him play a lot.
You couldn't have hit the nail on the head better with that. I love what you brought up too, is like, and you notice it too on Thursday night, is like he's just stoic, right? He is just like has an incompletion. Saquon drops that one ball. The rest of the other 3 were throwaways. Besides that, he was 19 for 19. It's like he is just like in the same mood. Win, lose, tie, it doesn't matter. Like he is just involved, and I feel like not a lot of people appreciate that because they do get too high and too low. So I don't know. That was just my question to you as an
Jaylen Hurts to me is I think for all the narrative stuff, I think the thing that's most indicative of the way that his teammates listen to him, respect him, respond to him. I also think that he was challenged to normalize himself a little bit amongst his teammates last year. And I think that he truly can adapt. Like you mentioned Russell Wilson, Jake, and I think that's a great point. I just don't think Jaylen Hurts will ever reach that level of going too far with it. Like I think he is still himself while having those, like he is a natural leader and also desires to be a leader. And I think because of that, he's been calm in a storm. Philly, people talk about New York media. I think it's tougher to play in Philly, man. I think it's tougher to play poorly in Philly. The media is one thing in New York, but the fans in Philly are worse than the media.
There are other teams to like focus on in New York. I think like definitely, obviously the Phillies are great right now, but like the Sixers aren't like world beaters at this point, and the
There's
Flyers.
10 teams in New York.
Exactly.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, like
my whole thing with Hurts, like, and you can ask anybody. Like, I was pissed when they I loved him. I loved him at Alabama. The first true freshman quarterback.
The way he responded to the Tua situation, and then went to Oklahoma and handled everything with grace, and just has a complete game, man. He can throw
He took a massive leap at Oklahoma too. He was like, people kind of forget he was really just a running quarterback in his like first career, like very early career at Alabama.
Dude, took the words out of my mouth, Jake. He was in his he was the first true freshman quarterback to start under Saban. ever.
Yeah.
And he was one read and I'm out. I'm running. He was one read, the post isn't there, the quick slant isn't there, I'm out. I'm running. And
that's basically been all of Saban's quarterbacks, really.
He's developed so much from that.
Yeah, the touchdown run against Clemson, and Deshaun Watson comes right back down the field on them. That was one of the better games that I can remember.
That was crazy. But like my whole thing with that, and you can ask anybody, like I was pissed. I loved him as a player. I hope he was on my team, but you just paid Wentz. You just gave him the largest deal and I'm like, why are you doing this? Why are you're putting, and Wentz is another thing, but it's like I love him as a player, as a person, all this stuff. Before the Super Bowl, it's like I hope he's on my team. I want to see him succeed. I loved him at Alabama when he was a true freshman. I was betting on him, whatever. But like when they drafted him, I'm like, what the hell is going on? You just gave
our boy Garnett here said perfectly. Like Jaylen Hurts is a perfect story for every young man to pay attention to. Well said, Garnett.
Facts
on how to handle yourself, how to conduct yourself as a leader, how to overcome adversity, all of those things. That's why Jaylen Hurts is great. He has nice physical tools. He's calm. He keeps the best quality Jaylen Hurts has is mentally. Jake, what we've talked about so many times on here, Russell Wilson's best friend, who was basically his behavior psychologist, died, and he had a book and a theory of neutral-based thinking. Don't be too high, don't be too low. If you're celebrating, come back down. If you're mad at yourself, come back up. Back to neutral. Jaylen Hurts is always neutral. The Super Bowl, he throws that touchdown. They can't. The line starts. They can't fuck with you. He says, "I know."
Yeah, dude,
like,
that shit.
It's like Scheffler. Like
yes,
Scotty Scheffler. Yes, has to. You have to find a way to return to neutral. Obviously, there's a rage inside of you. Obviously, there's a fuel. And Baker? Those are probably our two favorite quarterbacks. I'd say that are like outside of the Ravens ethos are probably Baker and Jaylen Hurts.
Did you see the clip that he said when he was talking to his dad after they won the national championship after Tua threw that ball to Devontae Smith, funny enough, and he said they went back to they were celebrating everything, says all the right stuff, whatever, get off the field, and he says he went back to the hotel room. You ever see this interview? He's like, I went back to my parents. My parents were holding me in the hotel bed, and I'm sitting there crying. And I look at my dad. I say, what are we gonna do? And he's like, we'll be all right. Like we'll be fine. Like da da da. And then they were talking about he says all that, and then he does the interview with Cam Newton before last year's Super Bowl, and Cam Newton says, I lost this game, I played in it once, and to be vulnerable with you, I cried. And Jaylen says, I can relate to you on all that stuff, but not the crying part though. And I think that's why Cam Newton hates Jaylen Hurts, because he did what Cam should have done. And to your point earlier, Jake, I totally agree. Josh Allen is a better Cam Newton. He's a more consistent Cam Newton. He has those whoopsie plays. He has those first drive when he threw that fucking bullet. And it's like, dude, what are you doing? Like, throw some. That's an easy 15-yard completion.
It's a borderline layup. Yeah, he just had to.
Right. It's like he is Cam Newton, but he's a more disciplined Cam Newton, where he's not gonna like Cam Newton's statistics. Like that year he won MVP, which he wasn't MVP. Like he still had like 12 or 13 or 14 pick. I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but he had a lot of interceptions that year. Right?
I think he had 10 that year. I think he was 35 and 10 and a bunch of rushing touchdowns.
Even so, though, like you look at what did Josh have last year picks wise? Like 4,
5 or 6, yeah, something.
Yeah, like it's different. It's different.
He's efficient as hell. Bo, love having you on. We did a cool hour 43 in total here. Got some gambling talk in. Like and subscribe, all of that good stuff. We'll be having Bo 2.0 at Bo #2.0 on. Check his Twitter for some picks. We're going to have him on, talk some slips. We're going to have the Settleman come back on as well.
Spence, Thursday night play that I like so far. On the FanDuel Your Way, I took Jordan Love rushing yards. Like, the highest it'll go is 38 yards right now.
And that's plus 420.
No, dude, it's 30-1.
That's what I'm talking. This is why we brought you on, Bo. This is why we brought you on.
I love quarterback rushing yards too.
Dude, we've made so much money.
Caleb Williams was plus value at 25 plus last night. He had 60.
Dude, FanDuel your way, it's because it's not, and they might add it. They might add like Jordan Love, 40 yards, like 20-1. But like, yeah, this, OJ just said, ladder bet, like bet 20 yards on the your way thing. Bet is, I think his over under is like 8.5. Like he was hurt last year. That's why he didn't run. So
He
throw
is
that in,
mobile, dude. He's
$10
mobile
to
as
win
hell.
300. And if it doesn't hit, you lost a freaking sandwich at your
A
Royal
McChicken.
Farms.
You got 2 McChicken.
Right.
Exactly. Love it. Love it. Bo, thanks for coming on. We're going to have you on more. We're going to have the Settle Man on. I was talking to him to come back on, talk some underdog gambling, some best ball, some fun stuff, a little DFS talk, some things like that. We're going to be doing some bet talk here and there, but I want to introduce Bo. Bo, we want to have you on a bunch this year. Track his college football picks. Bo, you always cry so much because you didn't do well last year in college football. You know your stuff. So you don't have to keep knocking yourself on that one, but appreciate you coming on. Appreciate everyone for listening. We will have the preview episode, Ravens, Browns, home opener. Didn't get into much Browns this one. We'll do the preview Thursday night prior to Thursday Night Football. Probably going into that one a little bit. Monster episode here, but appreciate everyone for listening. Jakey, if you want to take us out of here.
We appreciate it indeed. If you liked what you heard, subscribe to us here on the YouTube page or your podcast platform of choosing. Throw us a like on the YouTube, comment, get the algorithm pumping. Find us on social media at Exit52 Podcast across X, Instagram, Twitter. I am at Jake Louque. That's Louque. Spenny at Ravens4 Dummies. That is the number 4 in the middle there. You can find Brian at Barstool Banks, Taylor at Taylor Smythe 10, Eric at EDI TTI 22. Big walk-off win for the O's tonight, so we love that. Appreciate y'all hanging here with us. Appreciate everyone listening after the fact, and we'll talk to you again on Thursday.
See ya.
Really, really hard, and they execute the system, and that's what it's all about.
There
Yes, sir.
it is.
Trust.
He's pretty big trust.
Big trust, baby.
Hey, yes, sir. Right on cue. Hey, let me.